tradition like every other. French and Friends on a weekday.
That's it.
This is French and Friends indeed, and it's Wednesday, and we're stoked to have Edmund Q. Sylvester, chairman of the Freedom Golf Association. He goes by EQ. Mr. Sylvester, I've got to ask you, what's the Q? So few of us. I mean, you never see Q anymore. We don't have enough names with Q and Z.
No.
In English. What's the Q for, Ed?
I'd like to say it stands for quality, but then someone said something else. It really stands for Quincy. Thank you.
Okay.
Quincy,
good.
that's a solid name right there.
Yeah, no kidding. We're going to talk about the Freedom Golf Association. Big event at Cog Hill on the 9th. That's next Friday. EQ, can you go ahead and tell us, I know you love the game of golf, and you've really made it your passion here, and you're doing something outstanding for some really fascinating people who may not have had access to this wonderful game were it not for your efforts, and I imagine a great number of other people putting in their time. What is the Freedom Golf Association, sir?
Freedom Golf is dedicated as a result of my disability. I started it because I realized there are 18 million physically disabled in this country that would love to play golf, but they don't for two reasons. Mm-hmm. One, they don't know where to get professional help. And two, this is even the worst, is when they go to a golf course, sometimes they're not welcomed, or worse, they're turned away. So I said, I have a new mission. Let me see if I can't overcome those constraints for the 18 million that want to play. And of course, there are 57 million disabled in this country. So it was a great mission, great opportunity. And we started our first clinic in 2013. We helped 178 that year.
Wow.
And last year we helped 1,300, and we've had a total of 4,000 that we've helped. And this year we'll exceed 2,000.
Is that all over the country?
No, that's just here
just
in
in Chicago?
Yes.
Or in Illinois, rather?
In Chicago, basically. There are 230,000 disabled children in public schools today, if you can believe it.
No, that's a staggering number, and I never would have guessed it was a number that high. So it sounds like you've helped like 1 out of 3 people who want to play golf in Illinois and who are disabled. You've helped that come to pass. Now, what are some of the challenges at these golf courses? You mentioned some of the social stigma that may be associated with it, but what about the infrastructure at a golf course? It makes it difficult for those who are disabled to enjoy the game.
Yeah, first of all, that the golf course has to understand that they're disabled and are willing to accept them. Basically, a couple of years ago, they just didn't want the slow play. But they're now beginning to realize that these individuals can play and can play quickly.
Okay.
I mean, I know one individual's got one leg, he can play in less than 4 hours, 18 holes. So it's amazing. So it's a learning process, and I think we've come pretty far. We've helped 44 courses become accessible in this area, and we use a 3-pronged evaluation process. 1, are they ADA compliant?
Mm-hmm.
2, do they have special equipment to help those who need it? And thirdly, do they have a range with an adaptive golf instructor? And to help them, we have trained 42 individuals, professionals, physical therapists to become adaptive golf instructors.
Now, what are some of the things that these golf courses have had to do specifically to be able to make it handicap accessible?
They really haven't had much to do, but because by law, they have to be ADA compliant. So that's the big hurdle.
Okay.
Can the disabled get onto the golf course? Now, if that golf course will welcome them, then it's pretty straightforward if it's not hilly or the bunkers aren't too deep.
Okay.
But again, the disabled will adjust to that golf course. They don't really have to change their golf course. Just welcome them. That's all.
Well, first, before I get to that, I want to say you mentioned slow play. That's a problem with golf courses, no matter how many legs you have, and it drives me insane. I love playing golf and I love hanging out, but 4.5 hours, okay, that's about my max. So you get to 5 and 6 hours, and some of these golf we try on a Friday. You tee off after 11 o'clock around in this city at so many places, and you're there till, I don't know, 6 p.m. or so.
Yeah.
So that's a problem that's indicative with the games and the clubs around here anyway.
That's right.
Now, you mentioned that for those who are disabled, what sort of adjustments? Is it dependent upon the severity of someone's disability that they may have to alter, maybe not the rules, but the maybe getting into bunkers is a difficulty for some people. Are we pulling it out of the bunker? Jim, I'm just curious about the gameplay now.
Sure. There are really basically 3 disabilities that we deal with, which are all of them. One is physical, so they have certain limitations depending if they're amputees or one-armed or whatever.
Okay.
Then you've got the intellectually challenged. That takes a different mental set to dealing with them, autistic, Down syndrome. And then the third are the sensory challenge, basically those who may be visually impaired.
Mhm.
And they are a different category. We help them all. And we've been helping blind veterans from the VA here. And, they just love it. And they get a little help, get a little direction. But when they contact the golf ball, just like you and I, and we hit the
Mhm.
sweet spot,
Oh,
fabulous.
Oh,
brother.
yeah.
I don't know that there's anything better in sports than that. I don't know, maybe all these wonderful games of ours, hitting a three-pointer with that sound of the net sounds pretty good. The bottom of the cup when you're rolling a putt is
Oh,
good.
yeah.
When you hit it in the sweet spot, then when you actually hit a baseball solid, feels pretty great.
Yeah.
I stay away from football. Anyway, I love games. We love games, and that's part of
Now,
the talk on the show. Go ahead.
you
Hold
meant-
on real quick,
okay, go
Kevin.
ahead,
We're
reset.
speaking with EQ Sylvester, chairman of the Freedom Golf Association. We want to invite you, correct? We still have open spots for next Friday at Cog Hill. We're going to give you the deets in a minute. Go ahead, Kevin.
Now, you mentioned veterans, helping some of the blind, disabled veterans. So many of our boys and girls are coming back from the Middle East with disabilities, missing arms, legs, God knows what else. Are you involved with the VA in getting those guys onto a golf course?
Yes, we are. Very much so. And this is one of our challenges. Remember, a wounded veteran went to
Mhm.
war and he wasn't wounded. He comes back wounded and he's
Mhm.
got a whole new challenge in his life because he didn't have that disability going to the war. He has great spirit and drive to overcome that disability.
Yeah.
And through the game of golf, we're helping him overcome that disability and enjoy it. We have some wonderful stories. For instance, one wounded Marine said, I play golf recreationally.
Mhm.
And if it weren't for golf, I don't know where I'd be.
Wow.
We have another individual, wonderful guy by the name of Phil Bell. He came out to the BMW through our invitation. He became an adaptive golf player. Then he became an adaptive golf coach. He was one of 20 invited by former President Bush to go down to the Veterans Competition in 2016. He emailed me back and said, EQ, if it weren't for you and Freedom Golf, I might still be in a bar today.
Man.
Isn't that fabulous?
That
That
is
is fabulous.
That's awesome.
Go if you want more information, fgagolf.org, fgagolf.org. EQ, tell us about next Friday, what we can tell the people out there, any golfers, disabled or not. This is not, we want to tell you what's going on next Friday at Cog Hill.
Fabulous. It's an open tournament, not tournament, just a play. There'll be foursomes, and then the fifth player will be a disabled individual. So
Yeah.
you'll have the opportunity, playing in a scramble, where the ball doesn't really count that much,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it's ready to be fun. And you'll be playing with a disabled individual. Shotguns start at 8 o'clock. I shouldn't say this, but it's open bar breakfast, bloody
Oh, some mimosas
all
and
right.
whatnot.
Well, it's the truth.
Exactly. And then it's 18 holes. You're back probably by 12, 11:30 maybe.
Yeah.
And you get to see Dennis Walters, who is a PGA pro,
Mhm.
paraplegic because a cart fell on him. He will hit golf balls for you with his dog Bucky. It's a great great event for seniors and juniors. But what's interesting, if you go and pick up the balls, they'll be within a 10-foot circle.
He's a
He's just
machine.
He's a machine. And then, of course, we have prizes and we have awards. And the big award is the Player of the Year. I can't tell you her name, but
Okay.
she's wonderful. And
Yeah.
she's been with us for 4 years because we have high rate of repeatability.
Mhm.
And she's going to get the Player of the Year award. You'll love it.
Cool.
She's fabulous.
EQ, would you mind telling us your story here? I know you love the game. You played it to a high level. I mean, when you get down to single digits, I mean, anybody out there who knows about golf, you know what that means. That's somebody you want to play with because you learn from playing with people better than you. Tell us your story, EQ.
Well, thanks very much. I am an international businessman. I retired in 2011. I sold my business. I used to work for General Motors and for Rockefellers. So I have a lot of international business experience.
Cool.
Ready to retire. I love photography, love golf, ready to go around the world with my wife and enjoy the sport.
Mhm.
And I got hit on May 11th with this infection of a kidney stone getting blocked in my ureter and suffered sepsis, which
Yeah.
kills 250,000 people a year. I am very fortunate to be alive. The doctors gave me a cocktail of antibiotics, crossed their fingers, and 2 weeks later I came out of a coma, 12 surgeries, and I left the hospital 9 months later as a triple amputee. I didn't know what to do with my new body.
Yeah.
Yes, I could swim.
Uh-huh.
Thank God whales could float.
No, you look good, man.
And I rode a horse, but the cowboy pulled off my wrong foot, pulled my left foot off, and grabbed my prosthetic and said, what do I do now? I said, well, let's put it on so I get back off the horse.
Exactly.
In golf, I wasn't so lucky. You know,
Yeah.
having no feet and very few fingers, I couldn't hit it out of my shadow. And
Yeah.
that's when I found out about the 18 million who needed the same help I did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I put Freedom Golf together. You know, as I said before, our first clinic was 2013. We helped 178 players. We've now gotten up to 1,300 a year as of last year, and a accumulated total of 4,000. And we're going to beat that number this year and have 2,000
Wow.
participant lessons with 42 trained golf instructors, especially for the disabled. And we also have accessible golf courses. So it's just fabulous, and we're just getting started.
I do want to ask you, how important was the sense of humor? You seem like a pretty jovial guy. Were you really low for a while, or have you maintained that positive energy throughout the whole thing?
Well, I was very fortunate. For some reason, I had that energy.
Yeah.
I also have 10 grandchildren.
Awesome.
And I loved teaching them, and they were by my side, and I said, I got to get out of this bed.
Yeah.
I only have one or two decisions. Either
Are they
stay
just
here,
funny as hell about it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They saw my bionic arm, or my electric arm, and they said, "Oh my God, grandfather is bionic man. He's the bionic man."
That's cool.
You know, and it's
They're
got
the
to be
best.
so important to keep a positive attitude. You talk about how many disabled people actually want to golf, but how many disabled people do you kind of bring the golf game to, showing them that this is an option to get your ass out of bed and rejoin life?
That's the hardest part. How do we get them to know about us, to get out of bed? But I can tell you, and all of you know this, when someone hits a golf ball, it's a mental game.
Absolutely.
It's an individual competitive game. So when someone who's in a wheelchair, who's never swung a golf club before, swings it, hits the sweet spot, he's hooked.
That's it.
It really
That's
is all it takes. For anybody that's ever made fun of golf, why don't you go out there and hit a few? And when you hit it right, you'll know what we're talking about, and you will be hooked. It's a great game. What else did I want to ask? Oh, one more thing. Can you tell us about this? For those that aren't physically disabled, you mentioned Down syndrome, you mentioned autism. I think golf could be a perfect thing for those people on the spectrum, you know, that very wide spectrum. You know, that focus that comes with golf. Give us maybe a story or just your overall summary of those who aren't physically disabled, maybe have other disabilities, and how this has been able to help them.
I'll tell you a nice story about Leonard, who suffered stroke,
Okay.
and really couldn't move very well, couldn't talk, and he worked out with us for 5 or 6 weeks, and then his wife Mary came over and said, "EQ, I think we have a problem. This is not good for Leonard." I said, "Excuse me, Mary, why not?" "Well, the problem is Leonard's starting to speak again."
What? That's awesome.
But I said, "Mary, what's the matter with that?" She said, "Well, Leonard's starting to tell his dirty jokes again."
Well, you can find a few of those around a golf course, too. All right, next Friday, that's the 9th, at Cog Hill. We want you to play, all right? It's going to be cool. 5-man scramble. It'll be 4 you regular blokes and then somebody who can show you what somebody who's got to overcome some obstacles can do, all right? The Freedom Golf Association, fgagolf.org. This should be a good time. The Freedom Golf Association's annual golf outing at Cog Hill, of course, that's in Lamont, next Friday. We're showcasing local and national movement players. We're going to make golf available for special needs players. Chicago sounds like it's at the tip of the spear on making this a reality and a regular thing for golf courses around America. EQ, it's been a blast, dude.
Well, thanks so much. And all you people out there, please come. You'll really enjoy it, if nothing more, for lunch and to see the wonderful players. Thank you so much.
Open bar for breakfast and
Absolutely,
a pig roast, from what I
absolutely.
understand. And if you can't make it for whatever reason, you can go to the website and still make a donation,
You
right?
certainly can. And come for lunch if you wish.
All right, lovely. Thanks so much, EQ. More French and Friends coming up.
Thanks so much.